Okay, I think you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
So the time is 6:30 and I call this meeting, January 12th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can you see the flag?
Yes.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under
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 God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes.
I read the minutes. I didn't see any mistakes that I could remember. I make a motion to be accepted as written.
I second.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Ron and seconded by Skip to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, they're approved. Citizens' comments, I didn't have any. Correspondence and announcements. I'd just like to start out with condolences to Russell Gray, the first selectman in Sterling, passed away today. And I have to say he has been a supporter for my side. Whenever I needed help with things, he was always there to answer questions, and condolences to his family and the town of Sterling. So more correspondence. We received to the Board of Selectmen. I, David C. Minor, hereby resign from the Inland Wetlands Board effective January 1st, 2021. Was a pleasure and honor to serve on this board for 42 years. Respectfully submitted, David C. Minor. And have to say that he has been very dedicated and committed to that board. 42 years is a dedication. We'll recognize his resignation.
Tracy, it'd be nice if we could write something up on the selectmen's paper and, thank him for all three of us sign it.
Okay.
Thank him for all his years. Has been good at it.
Great idea, Ron.
Yeah. And dear Ron and crew, we can't thank you enough for taking care of the trees on the edge of the property. It was a nice surprise to arrive home from work and find them cut down. Also, an awesome cleanup too. Sincerely, Dan and Kathy. I can't read their last name. Rice, yep. It's Main Street, Voluntown. So those are for the trees that were on the property line that Public Works removed. Let's see, what else did we have? I put a notice out to the residents this weekend in response to the COVID spike that we are currently in town. I'll just read that. Voluntown residents, as anticipated, Voluntown is experiencing a spike in COVID-19 reported positives after the holidays. The week of 12/27 to 1/2 has us at 21 reported cases. This is more than 3 times the cases reported the week previous. This letter is not meant to alarm people, but to remind residents to do what they can to lessen the spread. This includes recommended quarantine guidelines, following mask and social distancing guidelines, staying home if experiencing symptoms, and washing hands. High-risk residents should take extra precautions. An easy to find COVID-19 page. It's at if you go to the town website, it's in the menu for COVID. Has been set up on the town website with information and resources. Due to the spike in reported cases, all board, commission, and committee meetings will be moved until further notice to remote starting on January 11th. And information on how the public can access meetings is posted on the website. All town hall offices will remain closed to the public, and all staff is reachable by phone or email. Volunteer Elementary School will remain open as the COVID-19 protocols that are in place based on the reopen committee's plan have been working. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to review that document. It's on the reopen committee's website, linked from the school website page. And I also put a link to it on the town page on that COVID link that I talked about earlier. And the tax deferment program has been extended. And then there's information about the tax deferment program that says you have to pay your tax. Yeah, it's an extension to April 1st before the penalties set in. So that's the letter that went out to residents. One more, received a notice from the Connecticut Department of Economic, DECD, with a notice that $284 billion in PPP funds are available from the DECD Commissioner David Lehman. That's the Paycheck Protection Program, reopens this week for small businesses and nonprofits impacted by the pandemic. So information about applying for that for small businesses and pandemics, and nonprofits, sorry, will be on the DECD website. So we just want to let people know about that. And I believe that's all I have on my end for correspondence and announcements. I don't know if you guys have anything.
I
I
have
don't.
anything else.
Okay. So we'll move on. Board and committee reports. We don't have any. COVID-19 update. So the reason why we had the meeting a little later today is at 5 o'clock. DECD and the Department of Health hosted a meeting for Eastern Connecticut municipal people to go over the spike that is being experienced right now in Eastern Connecticut. They showed the charts and the COVID totals since they started counting back in April. And we're definitely in a spike right now. So they were just talking about that we just need to unite and remind people to follow remind the businesses to follow the sector guidelines, remind everyone to follow the social distancing guidelines, don't gather in groups, wash your hands, like just the same things that they've been reinforcing all along. It's just to lessen the spread now, it's to pay more attention to those things. They were talking about testing. It's still important to get tested. And they were talking about the vaccine rollout, which was interesting because the main vaccine people weren't on the call. So there wasn't really that much information about it. just about, right now they're in phase 1A still. They're getting ready to prepare for phase 1B, which they're not even really sure yet who's going to be in that phase. But they're
Well, there were some announcements that I read yesterday for 1B.
Yep.
And that is those over 75, which
Yep.
we have quite a few in town. It is starting this Thursday. You can start scheduling appointments for next Monday and beyond.
right, and they were talking about that. They did say definitely for the 75 and over. They're working out a process for the registration. It's not effective yet. So if people try and call right now or try and set up right now, it's not effective. But they are going to have a place where people can register online for the 75 and over. And they're also working with 211 to have it set up there so that if they don't have access to a computer, they can call 211 and they can get registered through there as well. Again, that's not set up yet. This is just something they were talking about in the process of working on. And they do have a lot of information on the Department of the Connecticut DPH website for testing information. And you can call 211 for testing locations. And that was the main gist of it. So that was COVID-19. The Public Works Garage closeout. I'll let Julie talk about this because she has the numbers.
All right. I gotta open my QuickBooks. I forgot the exact number. So the garage is basically finished. We have a few minor things that are warranty items. I don't know if all the items have been completed. So we still have one payment that we're waiting on until all the warranty items are done. So basically we got to close out the garage. And we do owe 23,000 and change. I get the exact number in a second here. So to do that, we need to do that at a town meeting, to have the town meeting approve the final payment to finish the garage. That was due to the unsuitable fill that was found. So anytime you have a project this big, there's always going to be extras. And it was mostly for to pay for the unsuitable fill to be trucked out of there that we weren't aware of when the contract was made. So
yeah, there were two things that happened that ended up being not planned for. It was the unsuitable fill, and then when they went to dig the well, there was the need for fracking of it too, and that wasn't in the plan either.
So if we do have this next town meeting in February, I think we should put on this meeting to be approved, the final payment, to close out the garage. And my computer's acting really slow, so it's not open yet. There we go. So I don't know if you want to talk about putting that on the garage. It's $23,246 and 95 cents.
246 and 95 cents. Yeah, so I don't know if we want to
Good. Sorry.
if we want to approve to move that to the town meeting for vote approval to close it out.
Our threshold is what, 20K? Will we have to go to town meeting?
Unfortunately,
Yeah. So yeah, I make a motion that we move this line item for approval by the town at the next town meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Skip made the motion and Ron seconded to bring the garage closeout amount of $23,246.95 to add it to our agenda for the next town meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing none. So moved. Okay, so the next is the ordinances. Now, the town clerk ordinance that you guys should have a copy of, and the beach pond no wake zone ordinance that you guys should have a copy of. Those were all presented to the attorney for review, and they're legit on that end. So they can be decided tonight, if there's no more discussion on them, to move them to a public hearing. The public safety and volunteer reimbursement ordinance, I'm still in the process of working on that with the fire department. There's a lot of stuff in there that's on their end that I just need to make sure that how they want it to flow before we put it into ordinance. So that one we're still working on, but if you guys want to talk about, let's start with the town clerk ordinance, which is I'm looking for it. An ordinance authorizing the appointment of the town clerk. I wonder if I can,
Share it.
yeah.
No, it's probably me. I don't know if you have sharing abilities. I can
If
share them.
you would have to make Tracy host if Tracy wants to share. So you can just make her host and then she can share.
I'll share it and then you can still see you and talk. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Share.
And we can see it.
Yep. All right, so the gist of it, this is to, currently the town clerk is an elected position. This is to turn it into an appointed position. This is to the benefit of our residents and taxpayers. There's a lot of training involved with this position, a lot of responsibility involved in this position. The training can take, I don't know if it takes 4 years. It takes a long time to get the full training of it. So it's something that the town pays for the training. So this is a way to invest in that one person to stay in that position. So
And to ensure that if that person leaves, someone coming in is already qualified rather than the town having to pay for it all over again.
right, and it makes sure that it also protects the town. There's a lot of responsibility involved with the town clerk position as far as sending reports to the state. This makes sure that there's someone that's qualified in that position. This gives the board the capabilities of removing for the only way they can remove people from this position once they're hired is for like a cause, meaning that they're not doing their job or they're neglecting their duty or incompetence or all that and that stuff. So it would start, this is an election year, so if this is approved, then the town clerk position would not be on the ballot this year. I don't know if you have if anyone has any questions about it.
It's going to give the selectmen a little bit of oversight on the town clerk. We have nothing we can do right now if you get one that just decides to close up and leave early. So it does make it a little easier for the Board of Selectmen, at least, to reprimand them or whatever's got to be done.
Right, and this is no different. In the past, the treasurer position, the town tax collector position, those used to be all elected positions. And in the past, it was decided to turn those over to hired positions, which is what we do now for them. So this would make the town clerk position similar in hiring practices with the other positions in the town hall. So.
And again, as Tracy said at the very beginning, the amount of certification that's required to do the job in today's environment is significantly different than it was 5 years ago. So 10 years ago, there were no certification or there were minimal certification requirements for any of those three positions. And as each requirement has required more and more training and certification in order to properly and legally carry out their duties, it's become more difficult for just someone who doesn't already have those qualifications to come into the position. So this is us adapting to the times, not just trying to change things for the sake of changing things.
Right.
Well explained, Skip.
Yeah.
There's also the cost factor. It's not significant. I think, Julie, I think you and I sat down and discussed what it costs for that anywhere from 3 to 4 years worth of training. And it's a couple of $1,000s in direct classroom fees, as well as reimbursement costs for the individual. So, because there's travel, potential overnight stays. So that's, again, money saved off the town budget.
Yep.
That's,
So-
I didn't have any questions, and that was the only comments I wanted to make on this.
Okay.
I'm all for this.
So I don't know if we just want to vote to move it to a public hearing.
I make a motion that we move it to public hearing.
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Ron and seconded by Skip to move an ordinance authorizing the appointment of the town clerk to public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing none. That one will be moved to public hearing. All right, so the next one is the beach pond no wake zone ordinance.
The only thing I've got on that one, it says definition of a motorboat shall be the same as stated in section, I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
motorboat or other watercraft. It might make
Well,
sure.
That's what the definition says. I learned this with the jet skis. The definition in those general statutes of a motorboat is all watercraft, including the jet skis.
Good, all right. It's the only question I had.
Yeah. So this ordinance was a collaboration with the town and DEP and the NCON police. This is to help with the enforcement of the watercraft, motorboats, ski-doos on Beach Pond over the summer. This would put the section of the pond, the narrowest section of the pond, which is if you're standing at the boat launch, it's to like straight out and right down to the cove. That would make that whole area a no wake zone, and no wake means no more than 6 miles per hour. It's easier for the NCON officers to enforce the speed with this ordinance, and it also, since that's it's where the pond narrows, it'll make it a safer area for like kayaking, canoeing. It can be more, if people know that that's the no wake zone, that will be the area where they can focus on doing activities like that. The swimming, that's where people swim. So that's where this ordinance came from. We already have an ordinance that has a 6 mile per hour limit within, I can't remember, within, was it 200 feet or 75 feet of the shore, rafts, stuff like that. This would be, that covers the whole pond. This just covers the right of the boat launch, if that makes sense. So the other ordinance would still be in effect as well.
Is the language on the other ordinance that covers the whole pond, has that ever been updated to match the language as this one was written? So that
It's probably not, but I did turn that in for review too, and it doesn't conflict with anything that's already existing, and it doesn't conflict with this. So
okay. I see no problem with this ordinance the way it's written. I know we solicited feedback from those who live on the pond, and I don't think there was any negative commentary from anyone who lives on the pond about this either. So
no. So if we want to make a motion and vote to move this one to public hearing as well.
I make a motion that we move this one to public hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Skip made the motion and Ron seconded to move the beach pond slow no wake zone ordinance to public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing none. It's moved. Okay. And like I said, we're still working on the public safety one, and that will be discussed at a different meeting. So the town meeting public hearing date. I think these are the dates that I have are the ones that we passed out at the beginning of the month. So we have February 9th, it's a Tuesday for the public hearing. February 18th, it's a Thursday for the town meeting. And then that town meeting would be moved to a vote. And we're still trying to figure out how to do this vote. We were thinking about doing it possibly on a Saturday morning as a drive-through vote. So some towns have done that. The problem with where the voting is, it's not easy to do during Zoom because it's hard to verify people, especially if they're calling in. So what some towns have done, they've done drive-through where you drive through in a loop, you check in with your ID, you get a ballot, you vote in your car, and then you pass the ballot in on your way driving through. So kind of like walking and voting, but you're in a car instead. So
No, I discussed this with Julie, and I like that. One of the things that I think the first couple of cars, it will be as they get their ballots, they'll have to stop and fill it out. But if we're basically like, 4 or 5 car lengths between the validation station and the ballot turn-in station, by the time the first car gets up there, it'll be slow enough where people can validate, and then they've got 3 to 5 minutes to actually sit there and fill out their ballots.
yeah.
So.
One of the places we were thinking of doing it is possibly the garage. The weather is going to be an issue too, because if it's cold or who knows what the weather is going to be, we could probably do it driving through the garage so that at least it's usually the town clerk that collects the ballots and witnesses that they can be inside or in the garage and have people drive through is an idea. That would probably be the easiest way for traffic too. Either the garage or the school parking lot, but the garage has the cover, so. but I don't know if those dates are all right for everyone.
That was the 9th, 18th, and then
20th,
potentially- right?
which is a Saturday. We thought Saturday would be good for people to be able to attend.
Maximizing turnout. Yes.
Yeah,
So 9th, 18th, and 20th.
yeah,
Yeah, those dates work for me.
okay. So we'll put those as the tentative dates for now. And I'll get more information about how the public here, they'll all be remote. Maybe by then we can be back to hybrid because we do have the meeting room set up now for hybrid meetings. So it's pretty cool. So we'll see how it is then. All right, so there's that. New business, the COVID vaccination plan. I talked about that a little bit. As far as for town employees, the state has us working with a system called VAMS. We have our employees in the system 3 different ways. We have the municipal employees, which Julie's doing. We have the school employees, which I believe Rachel's doing at the school. And we have the volunteer fire, which I believe they're doing theirs through Bacchus Hospital. So that's how we're registering for the town. Right now, there's no one in the municipal level that's in Group 1A. The school has the school nurse, and they're the only.
We have one, the municipal agent for the elderly.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we do have one. We have our municipal agent for the elderly. And the school nurse with the school, and then of course the first responders are able. So that's how the vaccine plan is going now. The second round, 1B, I think includes, that's where the teachers will be in. So more people will be in the vaccination system for the town. And the way that it works is the VAMs, the people that are in charge with their VAM. So like for Julie, she'll enter in all the employees. They will get notified, and they will take it from there. So whether or not they want it or not, we just enter everyone in, and then it's up to them to decide if they want it or not. So that's how it works there. And then they get it, they go into the system, and so that's how that works.
The one thing they cautioned me when I did the training is they said, make sure you keep your link, because that's your link to get the vaccine. It doesn't expire, but it also means, if you decide 2 months from now, that's still the link you use to get the, to register for your appointment. So you can't delete it and get another one. I don't know how to, maybe there's a way to resend it. I don't know, but that link is still active no matter how long it takes you to decide to take it.
Treat it like a winning lottery ticket is what you're saying.
So that's how the vaccination plan is working, and hoping that as the phases roll, as the vaccination groups roll out, we'll have the information to be able to present to the residents more. Everything's changing right now. Everything's forming right now. So it's hard to get the information out, but they're hoping, like I said, the meeting was on, I think he said Thursday, where they're hoping to have everything set for the next 1B, the next round. So.
Yeah, and then the other piece on that, from what I've read from the DPH site, was those over 65, they're discussing over 65 with comorbidity is in 1C, and they're discussing anyone over 65 being in 1C, which, if we stick to the schedule, would be at the beginning of February. So
they said the next round is the most people, so they don't know how long it takes. They don't know how long it's going to take to get through the 1B, because that has the most people so far. So All right, so moving on to public works plowing. All right. So it has been brought to my attention that the Board of Ed currently hasn't appointed or contracted with anyone to plow the school property. It has been brought to my attention as to if that would be something that Public Works could do. I said that Public Works, we have 3 Public Works employees. They each have a section of town that they are responsible for plowing. Public Works, their number one priority during a storm is to make sure that the roads are clear of ice and snow for safe passage of anyone, and especially for emergency vehicles. So that between the 3 of them, there's 30 miles of roads that they plow. They do the roads, they do the transfer station, they do the town hall, they do all of the bus turnarounds, they do the sidewalks, they do the emergency hydrant access at Sawmill Pond. They have to make sure that the fuel pump is clear for the buses and the emergency responders, and also for themselves. They make sure that the state boat launch parking lot is clear. That's a bus turnaround. And it's also a helipad landing site. They do Hell Hollow Road, and because there's an emergency water source access down there. They do DEP Trail 1 entrance. There's Voluntown residents down there. And we also have to, we also hire contractors to help them do this. So my answer was, I don't know how it would be possible for Public Works for our 3 guys to also do the school. That would take one of them off of their area in the time it takes to do the school. That would leave that area unattended. We also have to think that these guys, they work. There's no counting on when a storm's going to come, and this is the thing I kept saying. You can't plan on the timing of a storm. You don't know when it's going to come. We can't guarantee that they would be able to plow the school when the school needs to or wants to be plowed, because again, their priority is the roads. Take into effect too that if the storm hits at night, they are working their regular shift during the day, preparing for the storm. They might get called in, work all night through the storm, again, taking their mandated breaks. But it's a lot of work and a lot of not sleeping. So for the safety, and again, they do their mandated breaks, but again, it's a safety and a health thing we have to think of too with their working. But this isn't to say they do help with the school. Anyways, they always have. If they're driving by going through, They will drive through and sand if it needs, but to have them be the main responsibility for that area is not something that can be committed to without neglecting what their job is to do, which is to keep the roads safe and accessible for emergency vehicles.
So I think I understand. Well, I know why the school is requesting help. There was this from one of my neighbors who plows commercially. He mentioned that the school was going out to bid on their parking lot. And just in casual conversation with him, he mentioned that it was typical bid for something like that would be $5,000. So if it's one storm or if it's 10 storms, the individual plowing gets paid $5,000 by the end of the season. If it goes over a threshold, whatever is negotiated, if it's 10 storms, then on the 11th storm, then they get paid per storm. So it sounds like the school is just trying to grapple with budgetary concerns. Is there any way for us to add a surge plower? Would that be possible for us to do for cheaper than what the school's doing? Because basically, we're concerned about their budget too.
Yeah, I don't think that our contractors wouldn't be any cheaper than their contractors. They're contractors. And the thing is too, we looked at other schools in the area. Sterling, it's verified that they have a subcontractor that provides the plowing service and the school staff does the maintenance. For the town of Griswold, it's verified that the school staff does the plowing and the sidewalk. If they're custodial staff. The town of Plainfield, it's verified that they have a subcontractor that provides plowing for the school and the sidewalks. It's verified that the town of Preston, they have their school staff, custodial staff does the plowing and the sidewalks. And the town of Canterbury, their school's custodial staff does the plowing and the sidewalks. These are all towns that have more public works employees than us. And they contract out, their schools contract out. And it would cost us, it wouldn't be any different for us to contract another person than for them to do the contract on their own. So.
Okay, no, it was just information that didn't come my way, so I wanted to ask about that when I saw this on the agenda.
And the bids they got at the school, from what I heard, were less than what you said. So.
Okay.
Over the years, Skip, we've helped the school as needed. We were never the principal snow removers, and I will never agree to be the principal snow removers. They have a line item, and all of this is caused because of one member of the Board of Education, because he did not like the amount of bids they got. Now, for one thing, the men did have to plow, but somebody else plowed some. And I want to bring this before the Board of Selectmen, that I would like to bill the Board of Education, because of this one member of the board. What we would do is figure out what the town has invested over there and give them a bill for it. I do not expect to be paid for it. What I would like to do is take it out of the line item so that they have to save it at the end of the year and give it back to the town. But they do have a line item, and by trying to push it off on the Public Works is not right. They do too much. They are tired. It beats our equipment. And like you say, where does the biggest cost go of all the tax money? To the school. And why should the town turn around and spend more money while they can take and switch that at the end of the year or any time they want from line item to line item? So like you say, I would like to send them a bill, if it's all right with you, too, just so that the town make sure that they can't spend that somewhere else when they already have that money designated for snow plowing.
I do see how that would work, because technically they should have their plow contractor already set, and they had that money set aside for plowing that's not being spent on that for at least the last storm. And if they don't have a contractor, I think they have someone on call if they need them, but
I gave Mr. Burrows a number to call today about that A&M sealer. He didn't have it. I told him that I had talked to that man. Oh, this is before long before the storm, and I think that he might try to do a little bit better on his bid. But it was the one person on the Board of Ed who did not like Adam taking the bids. Mr. Burrows is very good with money, and what brought all this on is that Timmy Sakowitz, who used to do it, did it for a song, really, and he just couldn't do it anymore for that price, and he didn't want to jack it up, so he just told him he couldn't do it.
no, and I heard that he got a contract. He did give them a really good deal. That's why they're having a hard time budgeting, I believe, for this, because the bids that they're getting in are higher than what they were paying, not because the bids are high, but because he did give them such a good deal. But the fact is, he already has a contract with someone that's a distance away. So he couldn't do the contract for the school because the contract that he already got was not nearby. So for him to do 2 contracts not close to each other during a storm wasn't feasible.
So the price is just normalizing then. They had a really good deal.
Yeah, the prices that they have are comparable to plow prices. They just had such a good deal before. He hadn't raised the price in forever. So it's just the way that they budgeted for it.
Well, the town is in the same situation with him mowing the cemeteries. He is not going up, I don't think, on the price since he started.
Right.
And his price has been excellent all the time. So
we'll be hitting that if he isn't there anymore too. So, but in my scheme of it too is they're looking at a bid of, I think it was 1,500 was one bid and 1,200 was the other bid per plow, and then with extra fees for 4 inches and up. So for each storm. So in the grand scheme of things, that's probably cheaper than us paying Public Works their time and a half or double time to do it. So if they even had time to do it, which we already decided that they already do a lot for 3 guys. And like I said, none of the other schools, we have the lowest number of Public Works probably in the state. And it's just not feasible for them to have more work. They do a lot. And again, we also do have a subcontractor that we have for every storm that does Denison Hill, because that's just way off of the rest of the routes. That we do have a subcontractor that we pay for that for every storm. And then we do have a subcontractor that we call in for backup if we need, because there's always something going on with a truck. And when a truck's down, that puts everything behind too. So if we had a truck down and a guy or 2 off their routes to do a truck repair, which thank God they can do now because we have a garage for them to do that. But that just takes 2 people off the run. And then if we have someone do the school, there'd be no one doing the roads if that happens. And these are all things that might sound like exaggerating or like whatever, but this is what happens during a storm. So, and we have no control over stuff like that. It would double the snow days for the school. because
So-
they would have to be the last thing done. It's like the town hall's the last done now, but we're usually closed when the school is, so they can, that's fine. But
Like I say, it's so the town does not want to do it, and the Board of Ed has to find a
Yep.
contractor.
yeah,
All right, that's the, the bottom line.
Yeah, I was just quickly reviewing the minutes from their December meeting, and they approved Luna Landscaping as a temporary snow removal bid.
But he
So-
had trouble, I think, when Adam called him, when they called him, his truck was down. So
So is
it's
Luna
like,
Landscaping the guy that they've had for a long time at a great
No.
price?
no,
no,
because he did plow, someone did, the last storm, the guys got to it after they were done with everything else. So the other Luna, I don't know if it was Luna Landscaping or another contractor had gotten there first. They pretty much did most of the area and the guys finished it up. So, but they got there later, like they were too busy that morning after cleaning up the rest of the roads and sanding. There was no school that day anyway, so they didn't rush over to do it when there wasn't school. So. But like I said, they do help. They have gone over there in storms past and helped out their maintenance person and helped with the sidewalks, and they do go through and sand if they see it needs sanding and they've always done that. So
Yep.
I don't know if we want to, I don't think we have to vote on that. I think it's good just to agree, unless we want to vote on it, but
No, I don't think we need to vote because we're not making
Yeah.
a change.
yeah, we're just fine agreeing. All
Yep.
right, so are we, any more discussion on that?
nope.
No,
All
I'm
right,
good. Thank you for the detour on that.
so what?
The detour, taking a deep dive on that topic.
All right, so next we have tax refunds. I have a list of tax refunds as requested by the tax collector for LD Construction, Mark Litkowski, Loretta LLC, Malik Landscaping, Peter Maya Dezowski, Nissan Infinity, and John Sabrowski.
I make a motion that we accept that we pay the refunds that the tax collector has given us for overpayment.
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Ron and seconded by Skip to refund the tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, hearing none. We'll let the tax collector know. All right. Anything else?
No, can't think of anything.
Nope. I make a motion.
I second it.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. I'm guessing to adjourn.
To adjourn, yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, hearing none. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you all.
night.